All right. Well, hello, my name is Alex. I'm 17 years old. I'm talking with Nigel. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am starting a power washing company with my friend, and I resell golf balls. I'm an EMT, and my biggest goal is to become successful and get further in life, really do something. And so far, I've been working hard. I'm teaching myself Python, and I've got a few other projects. And I'm here with Nigel, who I'm talking to get a better start in life and get some motivation.
Yes, sir. And for you guys listening, I'm Alex. We just met literally a few days ago out eating in California. We're sitting right next to each other. He's seen, I had a couple of nice iPhones and having a really good conversation. I really commend him for just pulling up on me, saying what's up. So we got connected, wanted to chop it up in terms of how to get better for anybody that's listening, whether young, college, high school, young adult. So we're going over a few quick things in terms of how to get to the next level. And I think this conversation is going to be really meaningful for a lot of people. Alex, shout out to you, bro, for pulling up. And I'm ready for the next question, man.
All right, so my next question, if you were in high school and with the knowledge you have now and you wanted to become successful, start a business and everything, what steps would you take?
For sure. I mean, the great thing about, being young or somebody that's in high school right now is so many options, which also can be really intimidating. The first thing that I would literally do, I would go ahead and get knowledgeable before I go ahead and make any moves. And I would just do some basic reading, basic financial literacy, number one. I would learn more about credit, number two. And number three, I would go ahead and try to get at least 2 to 3 mentors in different fields. These will be people that I'll be very close with throughout, my youth, these next 5 to 10 years, and somebody that can just expose me to different career paths. I would consider, whether college is right for me. I would consider, the next step school-wise. More than likely, I probably would go to college. I'm somebody that did graduate college, but the biggest thing is if you can get a head start with financial literacy and kind of getting a great understanding of not only your own credit, but start building some business credit, even just opening up an LLC. So the time you're 22, you got 5 years of history. It's a really good move.
Perfect. I think financial literacy, that's the single most important thing because that's going to allow you to really know your business, get into real estate. And a lot of the books I've read that they say exactly what you said, not as good, but it gets the point across.
For
And
sure.
that actually opened up a lot of my other questions. So you said you talked about information, doing research. What resources would you recommend for getting that? Because I think actually finding where to get the information from, that's the hardest part.
For sure. But I will also push back on that. We have access to the internet, you know what I mean? So it's like we can find anything. I mean, on a basic level, to get specific, most people have heard of the books, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But in my opinion, they may not connect as well early on in life because it's like some bigger concepts. So you want to make sure you're reading those types of books, every year, every other couple of years. So like maybe one time when you're 16, just to get introduced, and then maybe another time when you're 18. Just those two alone, for a quick example, is going to immediately shift somebody's mindset from a spender, an average consumer, to a business owner. You don't even have to be a mega entrepreneur, but somebody that knows how to make money, and be able to live a full life.
So I've actually read both of those, listened to them on Audible multiple times. It's funny
Nice.
you say that. You said the internet. So for me, like for personally for Python, I purchased a course on Udemy, but
Nice.
on information like stocks, crypto, and real estate, there's so many, and even computer coding, there's so many just sources and resources available on the internet. So do you have any specific recommendations specifically for money?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, there's so many different things out there when it comes to investing. I like something simple such as like a Robinhood or any of the basic stock apps. When it comes to coding, I think Udemy is great, Coursera is great. But I'm gonna be honest, the best experience that I believe anybody can get is real life experience. For example, if I wanted to be a computer programmer, in addition to self-learning and making sure I'm putting in my 100 plus hours, I'm gonna call, somebody in my family or a friend or go walk down, to my local downtown and ask, hey, who needs help with coding? And even for volunteer minimal pay, putting yourself in a situation where you have real world experience. Those are the people that do really, really well. It doesn't even matter how they're doing in school, because unfortunately, school doesn't always give you those types of opportunities where it's not about a grade. You can really sit there and learn. And there's money involved, which I think people are a little bit more motivated by money than they are grades sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, in Rich Dad Poor Dad, exactly what you said. Thomas Edison, he was on trial, and then he made the claim to the lawyer that I think school teaches just general information and not specifics. And
Mhm.
I think exactly what you said. If you go on like Udemy, get the coding course, that gets you exactly what you want. And I think that's why I like the internet, like that's why I love doing personal research and just like personal learning, because I can just search with the click of a button and find immediately. But just for me, I'm never sure like what to trust and what to like really choose, just because there's like hundreds and thousands of videos on YouTube.
Right. I think to answer that, you have to find also what we call digital mentors. And it could be anything for anybody. Pick somebody that's relatable to you, somebody that you can easily learn from, somebody that you don't mind, listening to for hours and hours and hours. And throughout their interviews, throughout their podcasts, throughout their YouTubes, throughout their books, they also cite and pretty much share who they learn from as well. So you backtrack not only their success, but you backtrack the success of those that they learned from in the books that they read. And at that point, you'll have a web of knowledge and information.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And let's see. So I'm currently I told you I'm starting a power washing company right now. I'm at the stage where I've done all the research. I've got everything I need in a Google Doc. What would be your biggest piece of advice with actually starting and doing?
For sure. I mean, when it comes to like a business, like a service-based business, number one, you have to make sure you have the tools.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways to go about that. You purchase it yourself, you borrow it, figure it out how to get it. And then number two is capability, right? Can we be better than average? A lot of people don't start because they don't think they're perfect or the service is that great. As long as you can get it slightly better than average, that's good enough to start. You'll work on being perfect later. And then number three, as you get experience doing it yourself, that's when you go ahead and start building out systems. Systems could include marketing, team, promotion, more equipment, expansion, etc.
Just writing that down right now. So you said that some people, the biggest reason they don't start is because they're like sort of afraid to start. How do you overcome the feeling that you're going to fail and the feeling of doubt? How have you done that personally?
For sure. First off, it's real. Anybody that says they haven't felt fear or doubt or anxiety when it comes to business or charging money is not telling the truth, because everybody feels that, especially when it's money involved. You're like, oh my God, like these people are entrusting me with, it could be something small as $20. It's just new, because most of the time we're so used to getting paid through a paycheck rather than somebody that we may or may not know. So the biggest thing, I mean, obviously we can say believe in yourself. Obviously we can say those things, but my biggest cheat code is to have people around you that are literally going to push you. And so what I mean by that is I like to use an analogy, like a guy trying to talk to a girl or a girl trying to talk to a guy. Sometimes we need those friends. Like if you're nervous to talk to her, you're nervous to talk to him, that friend that's literally just going to push you over there. Because at that point, you're literally right there. And you're mad that they pushed you. But at the end of the day, you're 9 times out of 10, she or he's either gonna say no, or more than likely they say, hey, yeah, let's connect or whatever number, and you're happy, that you were able to do that. But sometimes we need people around us to kind of push us into that confidence.
Yeah. So you're saying that just the people around you, that's the best way of actually getting to do it and taking action.
Right. Now, 10% of people don't need that. 10% of people in this world are very much self-starters. They see something they like, they immediately go for it. But the rest
Yeah,
of the 90%, even me included at my beginning stages, I needed somebody, whether I wanted to admit it back then or not, to literally go ahead and give me that push. And now the question is, are you going to accept the invitation? Or are you, going to grow up and show up for that opportunity?
absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to tell my friend that who I'm doing it with. Could you send me a copy of this video as well?
Yeah, of course,
All
bro.
right,
Of
I'd love to
course.
show some people this.
Yeah, another thing too, to increase accountability and going for it, talking about it more, right? Talking about it
Yeah.
more and asking your friends and family to hold you accountable. Like, hey, bro,
Mhm.
like I'm starting a YouTube. If you don't see my YouTube up by next week, give me a call. You don't see my YouTube up this week, hey, I'm putting down $20. You keep it if I don't do it. I mean, you got to go ahead and do those little things to go ahead and increase the incentives if you know that you're not in that 10% self-starter category.
Yeah, actually, and I want to get your opinion on this. A few days ago, I started. So I have on my Snapchat, I have a private story, and then I have a gym story, and I made that an entrepreneurship story as well. So every time I want to do something and I plan to do something, I post saying today's agenda. I'm gonna do this, and just because I have so many people on there, it sort of motivates me to actually do that.
Nice. That's good. And that's literally the same exact thing. You sharing what you're gonna do. And
Yeah,
also it's documentation, inspiring because unfortunately people can't relate to, people who are already super successful. A lot of people don't embrace the journey enough. And that's when you're gonna build the biggest brand while you're on the way there. 'Cause that's when everybody can relate.
yeah. I mean, like when I saw you, I only saw your appearance. You looked super successful, and I have no idea the amount of work and effort and struggle you've put into how you've gotten.
For sure, for sure. And it's okay. We meet people in different stages and you just gotta go learn from what they've done before and hey, you meet people for a reason.
Yeah. The next question is, so I noticed you have a degree in engineering and you're also working at Google and you have a resume business. Do
Mhm.
you think if you were to go to college again, what major would you choose given this present day?
Wow, that's actually a really good question. Wow. If I had to go to college all over again, I definitely probably wouldn't do engineering because that's not what I'm doing long term. Although it was
Yeah.
great, taught me how to think, met a lot of great people. I would definitely probably do computer science, number one. I would consider business marketing number two. Yeah, those would probably be my top two. Either if I was going to stay on the tech side, I would just go straight to computer science. Or number two, actually do business and marketing for two reasons. Number one, I mean, that's actually what I do now, business and marketing. And number two, how can I say this? The workload is a little easier. Well, a little less. I won't say easier, a little less than engineering. So I could have done more things in school. I did a lot of things in school, but I could have done even more things in school, not having the engineering load.
Yeah. And obviously engineering and computer science are incredibly hard courses. And just for people, and like for me, I'm decent at math, but I'm not amazing at math. I have tons of friends who are better and who are basically geniuses. So do you think that you need to be the smartest, one of the smartest people in the room to be successful in just in life and in those majors?
Nah, I think being successful too early is a trap. And here's what I'm gonna tell you why. I saw when I went to college at North Carolina A&T, people that got all A's in high school, like barely tried, accidentally getting A's, really struggled because they didn't know how to study and they didn't know necessarily how to win. A lot of things came natural. Like I've never
Yeah.
felt in my entire life that I got an A on accident. Like anytime that I've gotten an A from kindergarten all the way to college, I know exactly what I did and I worked really hard to get there. And so that teaches you the same principles, not only that you need in school, which is here nor there, but you really need that to apply to your life. And so when you're successful super early, like acing everything, you have to be careful that you're still working hard and you're still knowing how you're successful because there's going to be a time where you're not the smartest in the room. And it's just more growth. There's more growth when you're not the smartest in the room. And then secondly, it's all about your ability and work ethic. You can study, you can network, and networking is just important as school. And so, I don't know, I've never been the smartest in the room. I've never had the best grades, but I'm somebody that just pays attention and I know how to win. So you can definitely get the job done.
Do you think that for people that aren't as smart but can put in the work and put in the effort, do you think in the end they'll come out the same, basically the same level?
Definitely. But it takes attention to detail and it takes strategy, you
In
know,
time?
and time, and you can't mess up. Like when I mean mess up means like you just can't do stupid mistakes. Like let's use school, for example. If you know you're not the smartest, like you can't just miss class for 2 weeks and expect to, jump back in. It's one of the hardest classes that you take. So you can't
Yeah.
afford those. You got to really be organized. For just as smart as somebody is, you need to be just as organized or have just as many notes or study twice as long. So if you're doing other, I call them the intangibles. If you're doing other intangibles, Alex, then you'll be just as fine, especially on the networking social side. I believe people in our generation really struggle socially for a lot of reasons. And that's why a lot of people get stuck because they're not good socially.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm really good at like serious conversations. Like right now, like success conversations and
Right.
just talking about life. I'm good with that. But like
Nice.
personally, I struggle a little bit with small talk, and I've been working on that. I'm
Nice.
sure a lot of people do.
Yeah, the key with small talk is like number one, it's a lost art today. People aren't trying to small talk. They don't know how today. And it's not really a part of our newer generation because of the phones. We're DMing people. I'm gonna like your story, Snapchat, whatever. However,
Yeah.
small talk today is even more valuable because it's rare. Like, for example, we
Hmm.
shared a story where the lady was going to get a job at Calvin Klein and Calvin Klein was right in front of her. Her inability to not small talk potentially cost her the job and a lot of money. And so I
Yeah.
have millions of examples of me small talking to get me into rooms where people may look on Instagram, oh man, how's Nigel doing that? Just because I said hello or was chit-chatting with somebody and it leads to a crazy opportunity. So small talking and chatting is really where it's at, especially making moves.
Yeah. I mean, for on the video for anybody that's watching, the reason that Nigel and I are talking right now, we were at a restaurant. He was sitting 3 feet away from me, and then as he walked out, I followed him, and I was like, "Yo, you look insane. Tell me about yourself."
Yep, yep. And the type of person I am, I know how hard it is to do that socially. I know it's not easy to approach a stranger. So I'm very warm and open to that. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm glad you pulled up. I saw you right there as well. What do you have going on? And boom, now we're on the phone. So to everybody watching, if you feel like you want to talk to somebody, just go for it. Like, never know.
And this is my last official question. Then we can just talk a bit off video. How much capital do you think you need to get started in really investing and getting into real estate crypto? Because the reason I'm doing a power washing company is to get capital. I want to make at least 10 to 15K, and then I'm going to use that in just investments, and then I'm going to go more digital. So I hope to start something with drop shipping or marketing, something like that. Because for me, I love selling stuff. I'm a good salesperson,
Nice.
and I want to be able to use that.
For sure. First off, great question. So to answer your question directly, I think anywhere from 10 to 20K is really good real estate wise in any major investment. But here's the reality. The reality is most of the time, the first moves that we make are going to suck. We're going to mess up and we're going to make a lot of mistakes. That's number one. Number two, it's all about how you manage your cash flow and your financial discipline when you don't have the money. The reason why, for me personally, I was able to do really, really well is even back in college when I didn't have a lot of money and when I first started working, didn't have a lot of money, I still would save and invest regardless of what I had. And so, number one, it's a compound effect. You're making money over time. But number two, you're conditioning your mindset on how to be wise, how to spend your money. And most people, what they do is say, hey, I'm going to wait until I get six-figure job to start saving money, but that may take 5 to 10 years. And then lastly, once you accumulate the money, definitely tap into those digital mentors. Real estate is a great option if you're able to buy your property young. I mean, it's amazing. But also, just saving your money, just like, again, practicing saving your money, investing it, whether crypto, stocks, stashing it off to the side, and the best mentality to have is like it's never there. Get it. And I don't like seeing that money in my bank account. Some people are different. Some people like to see it stack up. For me, I like to call it like my offshore accounts. Send it off and then it's out of there. It's done.
Makes sense.